it's been a hot minute since we've been here, guys, because Steve decided to make his family and vacation a priority over a podcast. God forbid.
I know that
I felt bad about it, actually. I really did.
Well, your penance today is to tell us about how fun the trip was to justify why you were there, not here.
We can go through it step by step if you'd like.
Oh yeah, definitely. So where did you go?
We went to Greece, and then Egypt, and then Turkey, and then back to Greece.
So you flew into Greece.
We flew into Greece.
And boy, were your arms tired?
I was very, and these are big ones to.
Nice restful flight, quiet, and you slept all night?
No, I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people get on planes and sleep.
Did you get food on the flights?
There was a lot of food actually on the flights.
Like snacks or actual full meals?
There was one full meal. Actually, probably 1.5 full meals because they gave us kind of a breakfast when we landed.
I was just saying,
Is there such a thing as a
I was
half
gonna say,
meal?
yeah, it's an oxymoron.
Well, the one was like we had like a pasta and vegetables and a dessert. That was like a full meal. And the other one was just like a breakfast burrito and some juice.
So that's not bad.
That's
I
like
wouldn't call that a full meal.
That's like a continental breakfast. You know what I mean? Like, because like that's breakfast, but it's not like a real
Decent
breakfast.
burrito?
No,
I mean,
that was terrible.
it was terrible.
That was really bad.
No, that's not good, though.
Well, we'll start at the beginning. We signed up to do a guided tour through a company called Karen Travel out of Utica.
Jeez.
So we were the last ones to get in because Tina couldn't get the time off with her previous job, so she quit, went to a new place, got the time off. So we ended up signing up right at the last day.
You're not telling me she
That's
did
why
that.
she left that job?
That was part of the reason.
I didn't know that.
Seriously? For a vacation? All right.
Yeah,
Anyway.
well, it was a big vacation.
All right, go ahead.
So we signed up through them,
Yep.
and they took care of everything. They took care of the plane, the hotels, the cruise ship, and the flight back. And all we had to do basically were the excursions from the boat that we were on.
All right,
Just pick which ones you want.
Now, do you feel comfortable saying what it cost?
It was about ballpark $8,000 a person, minus or additionally you'd have to spend whatever your excursions were, and then
But so
whatever
the
you wanted to buy
8,000
on
was
your
your
own.
plane fare, your
Right, the plane, the
cruise,
hotel, and the
everything.
cruise, basically. And it was transport from Utica to JFK and then back to Utica from JFK at the way back.
And
So-
the hotel accommodation.
Yes, everything, yes.
So everything, including food?
On some meals, yes.
Okay, so
Did the hotels have breakfast?
The hotel did have a breakfast.
turkey.
And
The Turkish breakfast is probably huge.
did we have breakfast in Turkey? I don't think we had breakfast in Turkey.
I was going to say, I know people that have been to Turkey and they usually make a big to-do about breakfast.
Did you have turkey there?
I did not. I really wanted to do like a
Golden
turkey club in
opportunity.
Turkey, but I couldn't find it anywhere.
Oh boy.
They don't. That's not readily available like it is here.
It's just a name. That has nothing to do with the bird.
But we've been turkey clubs have been a big part of
It's a
our
big part of our
lives.
lives for 20
A
something
turkey
years
club
now.
in Turkey?
Wait. That's what I had for dinner last night at trivia.
Wow.
Oh,
Unintentionally.
Oh,
you didn't ask for it?
I asked for a roast beef and then they told me they didn't have a roast beef, so they made me a
so
turkey club.
turkey.
I love turkey.
It's reasonable.
No, I mean it was a good sandwich. But so all right, so roughly probably $20K for both of you.
For everything for
By
2
the time
weeks.
you bought stuff,
After everything was said and done.
excursion,
I'd say
extra
that was
food. Yeah.
that's a good ballpark.
Well, that's not too bad.
No,
for what you were
considering
thinking.
right. Considering the hotels, we stayed at a 5-star hotel in Athens the first 3
Well, and
days.
you went to 3 different countries.
3 different countries, the cruise ship. I mean, all that stuff adds up.
So all the stuff that they took control of, like booking your hotels and things, were perfect.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, they did a great job as far
there
as
were
that.
a couple like little hiccups checking in on the way back at the airport, and the guy's name's Michael, who works at Karen. That's Karen's son. He took care of everything.
Good.
He was like a bulldog.
Good. We
I
like
think.
that.
Yeah.
And so
So
how
you
many
guys
days?
could just sit back
Sit back
and wait for him to
all
take
I did
care
was
of
sit
it.
back and slam coffee, and actually Burger King at the airport on the way home. Whatever, that's fine.
Which airport were you in when you had the Burger King?
The one in Athens, I don't remember. It's
Okay.
like 18.
So I the last time I flew abroad, they had a Burger King in the Manchester airport,
I had a joke.
and one of the cool things I noticed there was besides fries as a side at the time, you could get chicken balls as a side, almost like nuggies but just balls.
They called them
were
chicken
were
balls
they
instead
actually
of
testicles
nuggets.
from a chicken?
I have no idea. They tasted great though.
Wow. Sometimes it's better not to ask those questions.
Exactly. Yeah. So how many days did this totally take?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
It was 14 days.
14 days. Okay.
Well, after we signed up, we did Italy a couple of years ago, and I did
okay.
everything on my own, and it was chaos.
That was just last year, wasn't it?
That was 2 years ago.
Really?
2 years ago, yeah. And it was. I mean, I've never done that before, and it was difficult navigating what you wanted to do every day and setting up guided tours. But I found
In a country where you don't speak the language.
right. But I found an app that called Get Your Guide, and once I found that, you can just set up guided tours in the vicinity that you want to go to.
Yeah.
And then you show up to wherever they tell you to show up, and then they take you on the guided tours, which is way better than doing it on your own, I think.
Sure.
But this one, they took care of everything. Like I said, except the excursions on the boat.
Do you think the cost for what you paid for this one versus what you did when you did it on your own was comparable?
I would say it's very comparable.
Yeah.
We had 2 other people. Kylie and Colin went with us last time to Italy.
Yeah.
But that was really
You rented a car, I remember.
We rented a car. We did an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Don't get me wrong. We had a great time.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was that much more expensive to do the guided one.
Right.
And
Like
everything
where
taken
somebody
care
did
of.
everything for you and you went
Correct.
more places.
Well, the best part.
And you
one
didn't
of the-
almost kill yourselves.
we did. I'm not a great driver.
A little taken situation.
Have you
People
seen
that
him
know
drive
me
in
know
America?
that. Oh boy, it was just as bad in Italy.
It's questionable.
Yeah.
I mean,
got-
I've seen it back up.
He's
When I-
very fast.
When I got home, I ended up getting 5 speeding tickets in Italy.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, 5
Which
of
he
them.
hadn't paid for.
I have not paid for any of them. I was gonna pay them. I was all ready. I'm like, yeah, I screwed up. I'm gonna pay. But then the car rental company tacked on a fee, which was more than the ticket would have been.
Yeah.
So the tickets were like 50 euros, and their fee was 55 euros per ticket.
How did
So
you-
I'm like, what the?
How did you get tickets not knowing you got tickets?
Because they have the automated ones.
Oh, like,
So they just
cameras or whatever?
yeah, they put it on the car, and then they go to the car rental company, and they send me the bill.
Okay.
So I was ready to pay for the tickets. I was.
So what's the recourse for them for not if you don't pay him?
Well, it's been over 2 years. So they just sent me. I just got a letter a week ago. It's all in Italian, so I have no idea what it is. So I'm like, oh, all right, well, I'm not doing that. I don't know what's going on
I
with
don't think
that.
they're gonna extradite you for speeding.
No,
tickets.
I thought my biggest concern was it was going to show up on my passport somehow.
Well, that or a credit report.
Well, not yet. Well, the car's in the car rental company's name, and
Yeah.
they didn't do a credit check to give me the car. You know what I mean?
No, but you might have used your credit card or something, some way to link back.
That was a glitch. Well, not a glitch, but that's what actually happened. They tried charging the card I gave them.
Yeah.
But since it was an Italian charge and I was already back in the U.S., the credit card company denied the charge.
good. I heard that.
Shoot.
So I was like, oh,
Oh
all right.
no.
Yeah, like, oh, son of a gun.
Oh well.
But anyway, one of the best parts was we just had to drive to Utica, and they chartered a bus from one of the hotels in North Utica to JFK. So we didn't even have to drive down. That was nice. You can relax. My biggest concern after we had a meeting with everyone that was going, and when we sat down, I was looking around, and I was probably the youngest one by 20 years.
Nice.
So I'm like, oh boy, I didn't know what I got myself into. I got a little nervous because they were an older group, you know.
In fairness, I mean, a lot of people maybe your age or younger don't have $20K to spend on a trip.
If you're retired and did 24, it's true.
Right,
It's true.
right.
No, I get what you're saying. But then I'm looking at it like there's a 97-year-old going, and like it was me, Tina,
man.
and then the next youngest person.
But
and-
don't you think that if you were a 97-year-old and still spry, you'd
Oh,
want to go
But this is what I'm gonna say. It made me nervous at first,
for them?
but after spending well, not for them, but just
Yeah.
because I thought it was gonna be kind of boring. But
Yeah.
they were awesome. These people that we met on this trip were incredible. We had a good time. We laughed. They picked on me relentlessly.
Oh, man.
I would say for 2 solid weeks.
About what?
Jesus.
Everything about the podcast because we talked about that quite a
Jeez,
bit.
it's almost
How
like
they even know about that? That's
Karma.
weird.
Well, we brought it up because they asked what I did now, and I'm like, well, I'm an influencer now, obviously. And they're like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And we told them about the podcast, and it was just fun. We had a great time with them.
Like, look at this whippersnapper with his
Yeah,
podcast.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure that's what was said. And then Tina egged him on too.
Oh,
To
great.
pick on me even more. But yeah,
Well,
So I noticed a lot of your photos, somebody else took them. Were they people that were on the trip with you?
no, those are people on site. They have people wherever you go.
Like
Basically,
tourist people.
there's people that like
Or,
where all the camels
tour
were.
That'll like take your
The
phone from
camel
you and take
rustler,
a picture
yes.
for you.
But you had to be careful with that. You don't want to open your phone up and give it to somebody else. So
Yeah.
you just hold the camera button down.
Yeah.
Then just the camera comes up. They can't get into your phone.
Right.
Because I didn't trust any of those people. Some
All
of
right.
those,
And if you had to pick just one thing, right? 14 days, one thing. What was the best?
the pyramids.
The
The
pyramids.
pyramids and the Sphinx and the camel riding.
All right. So seeing all the like eighth wonder of the world stuff in person was
Yes.
pretty great.
Yes.
All right. And
that
then,
was that amazing. Now that being said,
Yeah.
Egypt
I remember this part.
is a gigantic shithole.
Well,
I
that's not the
can't
part I remember.
believe. Well,
I was gonna say. I remember you saying that it was very touristy. Like what if Las Vegas
that
thought
was
what
the,
Egypt would look like?
That was the Nile cruise that we went on with the dinner. It was
And
a
then
dinner
there was
cruise on a
garbage all over the
Pharaoh's
Nile,
cruise.
which
The
is
Nile
like-
was disgusting.
Just hearing that makes me sad.
It
because,
made me
it's supposed
sad,
to be
too.
like, you You have this like romantic idea in your mind of like the Nile River and
that's exactly what I had.
Yeah.
And you would think because it's such a tourist attraction that they would be
keep
kept
up on
clean.
it.
If
Try to
nothing
clean
else,
it up a little bit.
that would be kept clean.
That
like-
was very, very
No,
saddening.
they're smart because like, haha, fuckers, you're already here.
Right.
What are you gonna do?
And most
Leave?
people wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, our first day in Egypt was spent in Alexandria.
Ooh.
So we drove around. I'm like,
Library,
Alexandria,
Alexandria.
awesome. Well, I mean, that's gone, obviously. The lighthouse is gone. But driving to the catacombs that we were going to see, the city is destroyed. You look around, there's crumbled buildings everywhere. There's garbage everywhere. There's malnourished
Every
cats
side
and-
street
No,
looked like
the
it was full
entire
of
city.
garbage. No, I mean on the
Yes.
photos that I saw.
Yes, but those weren't side streets. Those were that's how the streets are set.
So it looks like Philly, basically.
Oh, no, way worse than that. There's
was
the
bad.
best
Have
way
you been
to
to Philly lately, though?
I've been there recently, not like in the last
I mean,
year
like
or
the
so.
trash is pretty bad.
But you think that's bad? This was way worse.
I mean, it puts Rocky to shame.
Everywhere you turned, there was garbage. There were malnourished cats and dogs. Like I said, crumbled buildings in the building, and people were living. Like half a building would be just falling apart, and people are living in the other half of that building.
You could just see them through.
I'm like, holy
like as you drove
shit.
by, like drinking tea.
Oh my god, no, it was crazy. And then there were those hookah pipes.
Hookah.
Hookah pipes. Those were all over the place. There.
Well,
So that was, I mean, it was so sad to see that. But the pyramids, like I said, when we first rolled up on them,
Yeah.
and I saw them like in person for the first time.
So I was going to ask you what the worst part was, but it sounds like that was the worst part.
That was
like,
the worst
it was
part.
kind of like
Oh,
wrapped
absolutely.
in one.
Best and worst in the same place.
Yeah, all right.
The only decent property that we saw in Egypt was a prison. That was beautiful. So it was probably some
Only
maximum
you,
security.
But only you would think that.
Well, you see it, and it's the walls are nice and clean. They got green grass all over the place.
You're biased.
So that may be, but there were sprinklers. All the parking lots had covers over them. I'm like, this is
There are
incredible.
some European prisons where they let them out for the weekend and they come back.
Oh, they
There's
wouldn't
some
do that.
United States prisons that do that.
What?
Oh, they can't even get him to come back to a court.
We
date
had
in
work
New York.
release in New York State where they go for the day, work, and come home at the
No,
end.
this
They
was
go back
work,
to the
though.
jail
Like
at the end of
the
the shift.
European ones,
We,
like let them
uh,
go for the weekend just to do whatever.
Oh,
We had an
come back.
officer at Oneida that we worked with that was actually serving time on
did
weekends.
weekends, yeah.
He served time as an inmate at the county jail and came back as an officer Monday through Friday.
Yep. He
How?
did swaps
I
and
have
stuff
no
so that
idea.
he had
How
all
did
his
they let that
weekends
go?
off.
I have no idea.
I
But
don't
if
know how he
you're-
got that either.
If you're going to Egypt, go see the pyramids because that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. When I first saw them, like through the bus window,
Yep.
it's like your jaw drops because you see them your whole life and then they're right in front of you. I'm like, oh my god, it was amazing.
How about the Sphinx?
Sphinx is a little smaller than I thought.
But it did look a little smaller
yes,
in your photos.
yeah,
than
but
I
it
kinda
was still
thought,
you're
too.
walking. I mean, you had to take a little path to get up to
I mean,
it.
is it possible that
It's
the
amazing.
Sphinx is like old people where they like shrink over time?
It's losing a little height, you think?
Yeah.
It's
like,
old.
possibility.
It's
I
up
don't
there.
think
It is
like
old.
when my grandma passed,
It's
like, she
older
was
than
probably,
the
like,
97-year-old guy you were talking
My grandma
about.
was like
a lady.
4'8",
Older.
4'9" when she died. I don't think she was always 4'8" or 4'9". You know, people shrink.
Yeah,
It's a
my
thing.
mother likewise.
Now the people in Egypt that are around, like doing the camel rides, doing the pictures that you saw, they click the pictures. They were a pain in the ass.
Why?
And our tour guide told us this going in. He goes, when you tip them, like $1 to $3 is fine. He goes, they're going to ask you for more. They're going to tell you their family needs it. But $1 to $3 is quite a bit of money for them to take a couple pictures, you know. So I tipped them like $3 each, and they really give you a hard time. They hold up a $20 bill. This is what I've been getting from everybody else. I'm like, well, you're getting 3 from me. And then one guy got so bad, I took the 3 back from him, and I said, well, I guess you don't want anything then. I started putting it in my pocket. He goes, I'll take the 3. I'm like, oh, okay, here you go.
I was gonna say it's a tip. It's
But
not a requirement.
they're relentless. They'll follow you. They'll harass you. They're a pain in the ass. And that kind of put a little downer on the whole situation there. But it was a small price to pay to see the pyramids and the
$3.
Sphinx. That was a very small price to pay because they did some good pictures too. I'll give them some credit. They took some decent pictures.
Price
they-
is less than the service you got.
Yeah, that's true. But then we went from Egypt back on the boat, and we had like a day at sea, and we ended up in Turkey, which I thought was going to be the shithole of the trip. Honestly, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Streets were very clean. The people were very friendly.
Which is ironic because like if you like pay attention to the news for Turkey, there's a lot of political upheaval there.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it should be not great, but
Right.
it's
Yeah, didn't
fine,
they just have a change in power?
I think.
Well, back to Egypt real quick.
Yeah.
One thing I was not prepared for is the amount of what kind of a police state it is.
Yeah.
There are police everywhere. Like when you're going down the thruway, and we used to have the toll booths and everything. There's usually an armored vehicle with a 50 cal machine gun mounted, aimed at the road, and someone sitting there with their hands on the guns.
At each stop.
At every single stop. Every single stop. There were police in Alexandria, like every single street corner had police. They're all carrying machine guns, and we needed a police escort on our bus everywhere we went.
Okay.
So that was crazy to see that.
Oh.
But yeah, back to Turkey. Turkey was amazing. We had a great time there. We had some local meals. They were fantastic. We went to that bazaar, that Grand Bazaar. It's like a city block, all covered. It was impressive.
Okay.
It was impressive. My daughter gave me a list of spices and trinkets she wanted from each stop, so we tried to fill that.
Successful?
We got most of that in Turkey. Yeah,
Nice.
a lot of the spices there. And then we went from there back to Greece.
There's spices that aren't readily available here. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you can get them here. You can get
But
anything
they're like
here.
better quality.
There's a higher quality, like the saffron was a big one she wanted. There's like
It's
an
probably-
Iranian saffron.
And it's cheaper.
It is significantly cheaper than ordering it like through Amazon.
Because I mean, you're paying not tariffs per se, but just like import export costs,
Right.
like get it from here to
Right.
there. So
But yeah, so we got a lot of shopping done there, and then we went back on the boat over to Greece. We went to Santorini. I forgot Mykonos.
Mykonos.
And Santorini, both beautiful. People were great, but another thing you don't really think about is how crowded it is.
Is it crowded?
It's insane.
Do you think is it because of tourists or actual population?
No, it's actual tourists because we pulled in to go up to where they had the 3 blue roofs in, I think that was Santorini.
Okay.
And there's the famous picture people want to get all the
Yeah,
time.
the Greece
we
one.
pulled into the bus parking lot. There had to be, without exaggerating, 40 buses in the parking lot. And when we went down, like some of the streets were basically like one person wide. It was crowded. It was like 9,000 degrees, and people are sweating and trying to zigzag through each other. So yeah, expect some crowds.
And you're trying to keep your group together at the same time?
Yeah. Well, there's usually our leader had a big number he'd hold up. This is follow me, everybody.
All right. So moral of the story, it sounds like if you could go to Egypt, Greece, or
Turkey.
it's worth going to.
Yeah.
And if you're local, the Karen
Travel.
Karen
Yeah,
Travel.
They do.
all
I think
all inclusive.
They do 4 guided trips a year.
Yeah.
They can set up your other things too, like if you want to go on your own vacation.
Yeah.
But as far as the guided tours, I think it was well worth the money.
Okay.
They do 4 a year?
4 different trips, like once every quarter, basically.
Different though, so they're not
Right,
all
right,
to the
right,
same
right.
place.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely. And now, as far as the ship goes, we went on Norwegian.
good. Norwegian-licious?
Norwegian. I think it's just called Norwegian. Norwegian-licious.
Yeah. It's an adjective.
I'm sure you eat a lot of
The
food on the
ship
ship.
was amazing. They had a full go-kart track, water slides. We didn't do the water slides. A couple hot tubs where we met some interesting people.
Oh boy. Some swingers.
No, nothing like that. Just there was a lot of
Did you sanitize after?
there were a lot of
leaving
man
the hot tub?
thongs. There were a lot of European man thongs running around that boat. But I don't love cruising, but it's the easiest way to get to as many sites as possible in a very short period of time.
Yes.
And so I consider it kind of
Probably
like
cheaper
Well, you're in the
than flying.
Mediterranean.
right.
So was it relatively calm?
Yeah, it was very calm. Yeah, we didn't have any issues with that at all.
Nice.
But I consider it after being that was our second cruise. It's like the Walmart of vacationing. That's how I would describe it.
Which isn't bad. It's
You
one
gotta
stop-
go there
it's a
sometimes.
One-stop shop.
Right, that's exactly what it is. But there are some weirdos, and there are some really stupid people that
Yeah.
just end up on these cruises. But there were some great people too. We met a lot of really fun, awesome people.
I think given the cost of something like this, I might upgrade it to like the Target of trips, only because again, like
Target's like the high
It
end.
probably
department
depends
store.
what you're on
But,
too,
like,
because
you know,
like Jay's been on a lot of those, and there are
weirdos
each
don't
line
usually have
has
a lot
its
of
own kind of
dispensable
clientele
income.
too.
Well, they say Carnival's the one you want to avoid now.
That's like the party one.
All those fights you see on YouTube and everything, those are pretty much all Carnival cruises.
I mean, that would make me want to go to it more.
No,
Just to
I
see
don't want to
it.
deal with all that bullshit. No, I like it nice and relaxed. I want to find one where there's no kids next time. Maybe try something like that, like an adults only.
Swingers again.
No, I don't think we're gonna do that.
We were on
I would do
Royal
well.
I'm not saying
Caribbean,
you
and the
have
ship
to
was
swing,
amazing.
but I'm saying that environment definitely is conducive to no children.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah.
So.
I would definitely say
I'm not saying you have to participate.
no, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. What were you saying, Art?
I was just saying Royal Caribbean was the one we went on,
the one
and
you
it
did.
was really nice. And
Now, does Norwegian like actually play any like part into the theme of the ship? I mean, did it affect the food that you got or anything? It's just the name.
No, Norwegian's the company. They have a
Yeah,
bunch of
yeah.
ships.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And we went on one of their newest one. It was the Viva, which was like I said, it was gorgeous, huge.
But I mean, was it like Greek food? Was it American?
No, it
food?
was
like
a normal American fare.
Oh.
There wasn't. There were specialty restaurants where you can get like sushi in one or Mexican in another, but it was predominantly our food.
did you get meals in the restaurants as part of your cruise?
We got 2 were included.
Yeah,
2
that's what I
premiums
usually
were
do.
included. Yeah,
Premiums?
and the premium ones the food was amazing at those, and the food in the free ones there were a couple that were pretty good and a couple that were mediocre. Like the buffet is okay, nothing great.
But you can find pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
in
you
there
can always
anyway.
find something.
So wait,
to
there
eat.
was free restaurants?
Yeah, well, when you pay for your cruise, you get
Yeah,
there's
the-
like 5 restaurants that you can eat at whenever you want.
And the buffet is free all the time.
buffet is one of them.
What makes the premium if they're all free?
Well, they're not all free. There's the free ones that are included with the cost of the cruise, and then there's the premium ones that you can go to, but they're like $50 or $60 per person
Or
to go to.
use
But
your
you get-
vouchers.
Well, we had 2
Premium
vouchers
vouchers.
for ours in the plan that we signed up for.
Okay.
But I don't know if that like we wanted to get sushi, but I mean $60 a person, $120 in sushi is a lot of. You have to eat a lot of sushi to justify
Well,
that cost.
and or they're upcharging hard.
Well, they probably are, but the food is noticeably better in those restaurants.
Good. Like,
But it just, I mean, we can go here and get sushi for 2 people for $80. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm not going to
way
spend.
less than that.
The one we ate at on ours was an Italian restaurant. One of them,
Yeah.
it was the food was amazing. Yeah, it was really good.
It's hard to justify the cost of that, especially when you just spend a fortune.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely had a great time. It was fun. It was definitely something I would do again.
You want to talk about your mudslides?
Oh, for Christ's sake. We had the drink package.
Oh,
So immediately,
all you want to
we go to the bar by the pool. There was a guy named James that was our main bartender. He was awesome. But I saw they had mudslides. I'm like, oh, let me try one of those. So I got one. Delicious. I'm like, holy cow, this is a magnificent mudslide. So I swear to God, in the first 3 days, I probably drank 15 to 20 of them.
Jesus Christ.
It was just all day. I'm like slamming mudslides. But I think it was the 3rd or 4th. And I'm telling everybody on the boat, people I know, people I don't know, people in our tour group, I'm like, these
Random
things.
people you're walking by. Hey,
I did.
Go
As
get
a
a
matter of
James
fact,
mudslide.
I'm like, hey, these are delicious. But I'm telling everybody how great they are. And then I see when we're sitting by the pool, there was like a 12 or 13-year-old kid walking by with one. I'm like, what the? I go, do they have a different drinking age? Does it change when you're in a different country to whatever their country is?
Usually.
So the next one I went to go get, I talked to James, the bartender, or it might have been Tina that said something to him. And we go, is there alcohol in these? And he's like, well, no. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
No wonder why you had 15 of them.
Well, and then I'm not getting buzzed at all from them.
Yeah.
And
So
for me,
I'm
that's
amazing.
weird.
Yeah.
Well,
I
for
have
me, that's
such
weird.
a
'Cause
tolerance for alcohol.
I don't
can't
though
believe
usually.
it. Yeah,
Usually
yeah.
I'm 2 drinks and I'm lightheaded.
You're over here using your drink
doing-
pass for fucking virgins.
They were delicious, but when we found that out, I'm like, oh goddamn! Now everyone's gonna probably find out and think I'm an idiot. So I was basically drinking chocolate milkshakes for 3 days. They were so good though.
Well,
But
if
then,
anybody said anything, you should have said, of course you got to tell them to put alcohol.
yeah, obviously, dummy.
Oh,
That
so
just
you
knew
makes
that.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
That's, everybody knows
So you could
that.
have gotten it with alcohol, but you had to ask.
I started doing it with alcohol after I found this out, and I gotta
Be
be
like-
honest,
be
they
like, hey James,
James, yeah, throw a couple, whatever you got to throw into that to jazz it up a little, but it did not taste as good with the alcohol. So it was a trade-off. Do you want alcohol or do you want something that delicious?
Yeah.
So what'd you do?
I didn't do any more alcohol in them because they were so good. It was hard not to drink them. So to make up, we do like a shot of Patron or something. They're like, I don't even like Patron, but we're gonna drink it just to
You
drink
got
it.
the drink
And then
pass, you
rinse
gotta
it
use
down with your
Rinse it down with a
mudslide.
delicious mudslide.
right.
Yeah, oh, they were so good, so good. Yeah, but yeah, definitely worth it. I would recommend Karen Travel, obviously. Norwegian, well, they were great. The only thing they didn't do well, I thought, was the excursions because the areas they had us meet were packed. There were people, and then they would call you basically by group to get in line to go down to the whatever, either the bus or the boat that went off our boat. And people would just start lining up even though their trip wasn't called. So they were blocking the path for everyone else to get out, and they didn't handle that situation very well. So it got very chaotic, and people were kind of getting mean to each other and shoving each other. I'm like, holy shit. I may have said,
sure you weren't on Carnival?
well, I may have said a few things going by too. I may have dropped a few words I shouldn't have by
Did
the
you
end.
drop any shoulders?
I didn't have to drop a shoulder this time.
Any
But I may have
people's elbows?
said effing artard at a couple people.
Nice.
Why don't you wait your turn? You know what I mean? Because you sit down, you wait your turn. When your number's called, you go.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you gotta get in a group and line up at the exit. That pisses me off. So I want to get the microphone from the guy that was in charge of that, and they're like, no, we're not doing that. I said, all right, well, whatever. That was probably my least favorite thing about it. Let me think. Yeah, that was probably my least favorite thing. Everything else went pretty smooth, I thought. Embarkation, debarkation.
So what other things did you do? I mean, the one was the trip up the Nile.
That was all
Or the
part
dinner
of the
cruise thing.
yeah.
That
That
was
was
one of
all
the
part of
excursions,
the
right?
That was part of the
Package.
day we went to the pyramids.
What other excursions did you do?
We did the Alexandria one, which is catacombs and a couple ruins they had.
Oh,
there.
so it's a bus ride to the
yeah,
catacombs?
everything except the ones in the second half of Greece were bus rides right off the boat. But those we had to take a tender from the boat to the dock because the dock wasn't big enough to
Yeah.
have the boat dock. So yeah, basically that. We rode a pirate ship in, that was Santorini, I think.
Mykonos.
No, that was Santorini. Yeah. Yeah, pirate ship to we took a big tour around. It's like an inside of a volcano, basically.
Oh.
Yeah, so they took us around the whole thing, showed us everything. That was really cool.
Did you go to any museums while you were
We
out
went
there
to a
at all?
museum in Cairo.
Nice.
Which I think was that the first day. I don't remember, first day or second day. We were in Egypt for 2 days. The museum was really cool. We had a guide for that tour, but he didn't guide us through the museum, which I thought kind of sucked.
So, like, did you, at the end of the day, you go back on the boat and stay on the boat and then come back
Yes.
out the next day?
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. You'd go back in and go back out for every excursion. There were a couple people that actually stayed overnight on land.
Even though they had
That's a couple of the sites,
rooms
even though they had
paid?
a room. Yeah, but one of the excursions was like 3 hours away. So they just basically went to it, stayed there, came back the next day.
Okay.
And they have Uber in a lot of these places, believe it or not.
Sure, yeah.
Which is
Lyft.
convenient. I didn't see any Lyft, just Uber. But yeah, it was fun. Definitely worth it. If anybody else, they're doing, I think, their big one next year is like Germany, Norway, and Sweden. So we're thinking about maybe doing it again, just because we had such a good time on this one.
Germany.
Yeah, I've never been to any of those places either. And it is fun, like I said, to hit the major sites, which is what they do. So, yeah, definitely. Anyone else needs any information on that, feel free to get a hold of me and or leave a comment.
Or they could call Karen's Travel.
Oh, I have a lot of information.
Or you could just get a hold of Steve anyway.
Yeah, all right.
You know, like physically, like touch him.
Don't do that,
Please do.
unless you got a lot of money.
Oh, boy.
Thank you for watching Two Studs and a Dud. Please like, subscribe, and share this video.